Excellent, excellent. Okay, so this program is in 2 sections. I have the shorter section. I'm Cynthia Batt. I'm a professor here at the law school. I direct the clinical program and I teach professional responsibility, which is not news to several people in the class because they're in my professional responsibility class. So it's good to see you, and my purpose is to tell you a little bit about the differences between clinics and externships. If you talk to your predecessors in previous years, they're talking about internships, but we have changed our terminology to comport with the national conversation about clinical education. So the first question that anybody asks me is usually, what's the difference between clinics and externships? And I'm going to take you through many of the differences, but the key difference, and this is regulated by the standards that govern legal education, is that in a clinic, you are the legal representative. In Florida, we have a 3rd-year practice rule, which allows you to practice law in a clinic in your 3rd year. It is a 3rd-year rule. So that is the key difference. You are the legal representative. The clients are your clients, whether the client is the state of Florida or an individual needing help at Gulf Coast Legal Services. It is a huge responsibility. So let's talk about a couple of other differences. I talked about certified legal intern status, assumption of the lawyer's role. So you are carefully supervised, but as far as your client is concerned, as far as the judge is concerned, when you're in court, you're the lawyer. And not many schools offer that level of autonomy. So if you go into the criminal courts in Clearwater, the Criminal Justice Center, you will see Stetson students in front of the judge for the prosecution, for the public defender, in the child advocacy units. And it's great for us to see you not only performing well for students, but up to the level of new attorneys that are working in those offices. Okay, so assumption of the lawyer's role, levels of supervision. We have 3 levels of supervision for clinics because the responsibility is so awesome. First level, your field supervisors. These are the lawyers that are working with you every day. They're the ones that are giving you your assignments. They're the ones that are giving you the immediate feedback. Often, particularly in criminal court, they're the lawyers that are standing nearby, ready to rescue you should you need assistance. In most cases, they don't have to do a thing because Stetson prepares you to do the job. You also have an adjunct professor in every clinic, at least one, sometimes 2. They're the ones who will teach the required classroom component. When I say classroom, it may be in a classroom here at Stetson, but it may also be in a conference room at your site. It varies depending on schedules and depending on accessible resources. So, check banner, the times vary. The times for the classroom component should be listed on that. You need to have 200 hours available over the course of the semester for every clinic. We have standardized the hours. 200 hours works out to about 16 hours plus a couple of minutes each week. You should expect that some weeks you will work more because your cases will require more dedication. Other weeks you may work somewhat less, but you should be prepared for the 16 plus hours over the course of the semester. And that includes classroom component, and it also includes reflective writing. All right, so adjunct professors are your go-to people at the office. They teach, as I said, the classroom component, but they're also top-level people. So, for example, your adjunct professors for the Pinellas Prosecution Clinic, Bernie McCabe, who is the state attorney, and Fred Schau, who teaches many different courses here, including trial advocacy, who is a senior person in the office and has been associated with Stetson for decades. Finally, I'm the link between Stetson and the clinics, so I keep an eye on what's happening through conversations with your field supervisors, with your adjuncts, and with you through your reflective writing. 5 papers are required over the course of the semester. I give you prompts, and you're invited to share your feelings and what you're learning through these papers. If there's an emergency, if you're grossly unhappy, don't put it in a reflective paper and wait for me to read it. Come talk to me. Send me an email. You laugh. It happens every single semester. All right. These are our current clinics. These vary a little bit from semester to semester. We are trying to put together a couple of new ones. Whether they'll be available in the spring, I'm not sure, but you'll get an email if, in fact, we do start some new ones. And I think we have videos on each of them, correct? So we're going to keep circulating them through our various media. Keep your eye out for them. This is a good time for me to remind you that you need to read the course description on our landing page for a couple of different reasons. One, if you're ready to take a clinic next semester, you want to be sure that you have all of the prerequisites. Otherwise, you're wasting your bid because you automatically won't be included, you won't be chosen. The other reason is if you've got a couple of semesters to take clinic, you want to make sure that you get the prerequisites. So if you haven't taken criminal procedure, you need to tee that up so that you're ready to take your bid. Otherwise, you're going to graduate feeling like you missed something. And that would be a shame, particularly at a school like Stetson. Any questions about clinics? All right. Externships. Externships at Stetson are remarkable. And they're remarkable because each of them is supervised by a faculty member who otherwise is generally a doctrinal faculty, but got involved with, and usually they've started the externship because it addresses an interest that they have either in the practice area or something that they feel dedicated to, and they individually supervise the overall program, which means that in many cases, although they're not supervising your day-to-day work, they are doing the assignment of you to a particular placement and a particular supervisor. They are meeting with you either in person individually or as a group or online, but they're communicating with you regularly throughout the semester. Now, I said that a clinic involves direct representation of clients by you by virtue of your admissions to the bar, special admissions to the bar. An externship does not require certified legal intern status. You are doing legal work, but you are doing legal work in support of lawyers who are actually doing the representation. So you should be getting substantive legal work. It should become more and more challenging over the course of the semester, but you are not the direct legal representative. You'll also be doing work or being introduced to an area of practice. So this is a great time to like build your experience in a practice area. So if, for example, you were interested in family law or juvenile justice, you might take the family law externship one semester and then follow up with the child advocacy clinic in a subsequent semester and sort of build your expertise in that area. And you can see how you might do that in defense work, in prosecutorial work, and in local government. It's also a wonderful time to take a course that's relevant to any area of practice. So we have judicial externships that give you a chance to see what practical jurisprudence is all about and how judges actually make decisions. And I can tell you from my own experience, seeing how a judge actually analyzes a case and what work the clerk has to do in order to prepare the judge changed the way I practice law. Because I understood what the end game was and was able to tweak my interviewing of clients, my counseling, my preparation of briefs, all with that understanding of the end game. So I recommend that for any student who is interested in practicing law. Class components, as I said, they may vary whether they're online or in person, individually or group, but you should expect conversation with the faculty member that's supervising. Other requirements may also vary. So in terms of credits, whether or not journals are required, what kind of assessment, these are all things, some will be important to you, others will not. But as with anything that we do in life or in law, you should exercise your due diligence to make sure that you are well informed. All right, these are our current externships. I'll give you a chance to look at them. They are grouped under the faculty member that is supervising. And as you can see, we have current deans, former deans, all involved in experiential education. And truly, I know of no other school that has this kind of depth of faculty involved. I talked a little bit about how you choose a course, and obviously you want to build your experience. You want to think about skills that you may or may not be confident about, or may want to build upon while you're here. So I've known lots of students who took a trial-based clinic thinking, well, this is how they'll find out for sure whether they want to do this for the rest of their professional lives, or they never want to set foot in a courtroom ever again. And I've seen people come out of clinics with, you know, both ideas confirmed. Not the same student, obviously. But it works for some people, and it's a much safer place to test out your skills and hone them than in your first job. So we have different clinics and different externships that offer you different opportunities. And you should think about that in terms of which opportunities will be the most helpful in terms of helping you figure out what your direction is in terms of your professional life, what will give you the best foundation. All of them, from the externships to the clinics, will teach you about professionalism in practice. And I mean practicing professionalism as well as the practice of law. And if there was no other reason why you should take a clinic and or externship, that's enough. All right. Generally, as Trista Miller, who is our Assistant Director of Clinical Education, will tell you, most people get one of their choices that they apply for. Try to think about what choices you made so that you're not in the awkward position later on of having to drop the choice that you were awarded and have a really unpleasant conversation for both of us with me. Because if it's a very popular clinic or externship, if you've taken space and you drop it close to the beginning of the next semester, and there really isn't a lot of time between now and January, you've deprived someone else of that slot. I want you to put down as many choices as possible, but I don't want you to choose randomly. People who, and I should tell you that people, once you're assigned to a program or a course, people start preparing for it. So the faculty member involved starts talking to potential supervisors, your placements start lining up work. So it doesn't do anything for Stetson to have to tell them, gee, the students you were expecting, not come. All right, keep an eye out for announcements of either new videos or new experiential education programs and courses. And if you have questions, please feel welcome to email me, come visit. Don't use snail mail, don't use smoke signals, but come visit. And I'm turning it over to Trista.
So as Professor Bad said, my name is Trista Miller, for those of you who haven't met me yet. I am the human on the other end of clinical ed at law.stanford.edu. So if you forget everything that we said today, the most important thing is our email address. So clinical ed, if you just go to the Global and start typing clinic, it'll pop up. Clinical ed will get you to the right place. The other critical place that you need to be able to find, Professor Bat mentioned, which is our landing page. With the changes in the school's website, you may have been unable to find us until now, but I'm going to help you, because now I can find us. So College of Law homepage, right? This little thing up here. Do you guys know what this is called? It's called a hamburger. In the tech world, I just want to show off that I know that for a second. So that's like the flyout menu, right? So we're under academics, clinics, and externships. You may be able to get there if you search clinics and externships too, but this is just where it is. So this is the landing page. This is where all of the information for our department exists and gets updated. So when important things are happening, like registration is open now, it opened Friday. If you don't know that, it opened Friday, this past Friday, and it will remain open until November 2nd. It is separate from Banner. It is totally separate. So our programs, which include the externships and clinics that Professor Bat just talked about, is a competitive bidding process that is in a separate database, separate from Banner. Okay, so that's key. The most important part on our website is down here, frequently asked questions, the course descriptions, and then how to apply, which will take you to the database, which I'm going to show you screenshots for in a minute. The only other thing I'm going to show you on here, these course opportunities, these are all the programs that we offer. So the slide that you saw with all the externships and the clinics, they're listed here. And if you click on them, they will tell you what the prereqs are for the program. Okay, so these are things you have to look at before you apply, so that you know what you're applying for. Our database is smart, but it's not that smart. So if you don't have 48 semester hours, it won't let you bid for the clinics that require it. However, if you're missing a few preferred or required prereqs, it may not tell you that. So it is on you guys to review the prereqs before you apply so you don't waste your bid. If you have questions, go to the website and/or email or call me. Okay, and this is the interactive portion, so just raise your hand if you have questions. I might tell you that I'll get to it, but if not, I'm going to talk to you for about 15 minutes. I'm going to leave 10 minutes at the end for questions, because I know all of you guys have questions. So what you need to do now, there's something called the graduation checklist. Who knows about the graduation checklist? Who's a 1L in here? 2 Ls? 3 Ls? Oh good, okay, so there's a little bit of everyone. So this is the guide map. This is the thing that you check off to make sure you're ready to graduate at the end of all of this. If you don't know what the graduation checklist is, just email clinical ed, and you can be anonymous, and I will send it to you. But it tells you, you gotta have a code class. These are all the code classes. You gotta have a skills course. These are all, so it helps you navigate your way from today to graduation. Experiential courses is a fancy word for what we call externships and clinics. It's something that should be integrated into your course schedule. So they award academic credit, so you plan for them like you plan for your other courses. So 3 credit, 4 credit, 5 credit course. I already showed you the website. The other note that I'll make as far as using the graduation checklist to plan your course from today forward is keeping in mind the prereqs. So I tell students to plan from the end backwards. So you probably have an idea you want to take some bar prep courses your last semester, multi-state strategies, things like that. So that's going to take a couple. If you want to be at your clinic that you've just been dying to work for the 6th Circuit State Attorney's Office since you were 5, and you want to do that your last semester, then that's 5 credits. So what do you need to take that? Well, you need to take CrimPro. You need to take Trial Out and Evidence. You want to take a Tether. That's going to be, that eats up a bunch of credits. So when should you take that? So it all needs to work backwards from where you want to get to at the end. Okay, and you should be penciling those things in now. The externships, like Professor Bat mentioned, have overseeing faculty members. So they are subject matter experts in their area, along with the fact that they're the ones that pick you for their programs. So if you're interested or you have nuanced questions that aren't answered on the program page, email them, go to see them. Keep in mind that this week, they will probably be busy because all of you may have questions. But those are the people that are the supervising faculty, and they're all listed on the externship individual pages. Things you can do now, Career Services is already seeing a lot of you guys, but updating your resume, because that's part of the application process. Getting a PDF of your transcripts. If you don't know how to PDF your transcripts, don't be embarrassed and wait till the last minute and then try to word text it, and it's not gonna work. So you can print it out, you can scan it in the library, and it will email you a PDF. You can try that. You can also save it as a PDF if your computer does that and you know how to do that, do that. But it's got to be in a PDF. It doesn't have to be official. It needs to be your law school transcripts, not your undergrad. And the database tells you all of this. And then written statements of interest. A lot of information exists on our landing page about the statement of interest. It is Nothing more than a cover letter that doesn't have to be formatted. 1 page for each, your first, second, and third choice. If you bid for 17 programs, you just need your first, second, and third choice to have a statement of interest. Okay? The other thing you can do now is apply to the Florida Bar. So you guys have probably heard this over and over and over again, but I still, every semester, meet with students who want to do a clinic, who cannot do it because they don't have their character or fitness done from the bar. So I feel your pain. I understand it's a lengthy application. If you are confused, if you're not sure what to disclose, if you can't remember, if you actually got arrested, or if the cop just talked to you at the party, please go see someone. You can see bar prep. You are not the first student. I have been doing this for 2 years. I have never not, that's probably not a good way to say it. I have yet to come across a student who we can't place somewhere that has a disclosure. And every semester I have a stack of disclosures. So don't feel like that's something that's going to keep you from participating in one of these programs. So that's kind of what you need to do now. What happens next? We'll close, we're in the middle of registration, right? So the database is open to all of you. You log in, you complete your paperwork. On November 2nd, it will close. And then I will get sad emails from people that didn't complete it. So please, please go in before it closes. Because I can't extend it, right? Because it closes, and then like the fantasy football draft, it starts. So I can't affect it after that. So if you have an issue, there's a chance you will have an issue uploading your documents. Please don't wait until 5 minutes before, because I can't get web support to help you in enough time to fix it before the database closes. So please don't wait till the last minute. It will close at 4 on Monday, and it says that on the website. 4 on Monday. The student selection process, I'm just going to tell you briefly like a little bit about how the sausage is made so you understand. So you're going to bid for whatever program you qualify for and whichever you would accept a placement to. I recommend bidding for as many as you will accept a placement into, because what happens is your first choice you get looked at. So round 1 opens, every faculty member that supervises the program logs into the system and sees every student who put their program first, okay, and they pick. And then we close round 1 and we open round 2. And everyone that's left that hasn't been picked sees, the faculty will see whoever picked their program for their second choice. This does not hurt the faculty's feelings if you pick them third, and don't worry about them reading your other statement of interest, which raved about one program that wasn't theirs. They don't read them all, they don't have time, it's not personal. So that's what happens all through round 3. At the end of round 3, I will get a list of students from the database that haven't been selected, and I will print that. If you have other choices, so if you have choices 4, 5, 6, 7, I will try to match you to vacancies based on those choices. If you didn't list anything else, then you go in my pile of sad emails, and I will send you an email that says, I'm sorry you weren't accepted, I see that you didn't indicate interest in any other program. So it's helpful if you indicate alternative choices. With all that said, if all goes well, I will be sending emails notifying you of your placement. Congratulations, it will say on there, of your placement in this program, and I will tell you what to do now, because it depends on every program what you do next, before the reading period starts, so before Thanksgiving break. I will also send you an email. If you didn't get selected, that might take a little bit longer. So just know if you applied, I'm going to send you an email at some point that tells you what's going on. So don't feel like you have to follow up with me. I will email you. In that email, please read the email carefully, because it tells you, not only does it copy where you're going, so the supervising attorney that you're probably going to be working with, or the adjunct, or whoever it is, gets this email. So they see Stetson tell student Betty that Betty needs to contact Sally at the office and fill out paperwork. So if the student doesn't contact the office is aware that that has happened. This is just so everyone's aware of what students are coming to their office, that you guys have their contact information. But it's important that the email we send to you that says, congratulations, you've been placed here, this is what you do next, that you really pay attention to that. you a snapshot of what the database looks like, and these are the agencies that see your application. The prereqs, I could have already mentioned that, but this is the section where you get to fill out the prerequisites. Like I said, you're going to rank everything that you want to have a placement in. If you try to log in Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there was a couple glitches. A couple of you emailed me. Web Updates has fixed those. So if you had trouble, just please log back in now, and you shouldn't have issues. But if you do, email me and we get them fixed right away. The placement locations. So every program has multiple locations. So for example, the family law externship, you could go to CASA, Gulf Coast Legal Services, Bay Area. There's 7 placement locations. When you bid for the family law externship, if you are accepted, you are willing to go to any of those locations. So just keep that in mind. The location specifically is a preference. The faculty do a great job at getting you your preference location whenever they can. I've only had this come up as an issue twice in 2 years, where the student couldn't get to the location they were going. These are not in Miami. These are all, like, most of them are in St. Pete. A few are Hillsborough, Clearwater, Bradenton. So this should not be an issue. Just keep in mind, as it says in the database, that the location is a preference, not like a promise. This is where you get to upload your documents. Keep in mind PDF, and all 3 statements of interest need to be saved in one PDF. It says it in there, but it's just a little bit odd. So, disclosures, just keep in mind to be consistent with anything you've already disclosed, and there's more instructions in the database for you to do that. And then there's a section where you confirm. Okay, I'm going to spend a brief moment talking about CLIs. So if you, who has their, so, I want to ask that question. I will ask, who doesn't know what a CLI is, or has never heard the word CLI before? So CLI is a Certified Legal Internship Status. It's a status given to you under certain parameters. You can't get it outside of a clinic. You can't get it if you go to work at the state attorney's office. You can't get it if you go and volunteer at the state attorney's office. It has to be inside a clinic program, and it's for the term of the clinic, so for the semester. What you have to have before you start your clinic is called a Notice of Registry and Clearance from the bar. It's 1 sheet of paper. It's very important and looks very unimportant. And it says Notice of Registry and Clearance at the top. If you are accepted into a clinic, that congratulations email I mentioned will say you need to read these attached rules, you need to send me a copy of your Notice of Registry and Clearance, and you need to fill out this other short form. Okay? And please read. I need originals of certain things, and when I say original, that's really like the good old-fashioned kind, like drop it in the box. Original. And please try not to do the photos. I know you guys have, like, technology is fabulous, but the photo, if you take a photo of something and email it to me, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Just PDF, something a little more traditional would be helpful, because it's hard to read and it gets sent to many different people, and some people don't like those things. So originals, though, are the key, and it'll say that in the email. Your Notice of Registry and Clearance is the document that you need. The database will ask you if you have it. It will also ask you, if you don't have it, when did you apply to the bar? This is important, because if you apply this week and you said, I applied to the bar last week, that is not enough time for you to get your Notice of Registry and Clearance back. So the recommendation then would be to apply for an externship that you're interested in, or one of the clinics that do not require you to have your Notice of Registry and Clearance, which are the Veterans Advocacy Clinic and the Immigration Clinic. Okay? Why the CLI is important, Professor Bad talked about it. It's a special admission to the bar, and it allows you to have client responsibilities and practice like an attorney. If you went into the you went into court right now at the CJC up the road here, the Criminal Justice Center, you would probably not know the difference between whether the person standing up and doing a direct or a cross was a Stetson student or an attorney. They look very similar. The judges often say that the students do better. Maybe because you're a little nervous, I don't know. But this is the culminating experience for you to have while you're a law student. The other thing is, If and only if you are certified as a law student, can you then be certified as a graduate. Why this is important, please tell your friends, because this is the audience where we get to share this information outside of it just living on the website, which no one reads. So please share this information. If you are graduating and you want to work at a state attorney's office, a public defender's office, they will very likely ask you or look on your resume to see if you participated in a clinic. The reason they do this is for two reasons, and this is not my understanding, it's from them telling me. This is why we do this. We want to see if you've had a clinic experience, so that the training part of it, have you had this experience and do you obviously like it? And then second, which maybe I should have put first, is that the office can then apply for you to be a postgraduate certified legal intern, which means you are valuable to them before you're licensed. So from the day you graduate in May until you get your yay, I passed the bar certificate toward the end of the year, you can work. You can have a caseload. And God forbid you fail the bar the first time, you can continue to have a caseload and continue your CLI until you take the bar again. So you're talking almost a year of valuable work that they can get out of you if you are able to be a postgraduate CLI. And this is only available to you if you were certified as a law student. Does anybody have any questions about that really important detail? Yes.
Are you familiar, is there reciprocity for folks that, are there other states that you come across that have the same requirements? So let's say you're not practicing after graduation, but you want to practice in, say, North Carolina. Do they, or just name the biggest state, do you have you come across something like this someplace else?
Yes. But they're all different. So the answer is yes, and they're different. If you think you want to practice somewhere else,
right,
then you and I will go to that state's bar, either website, oftentimes they're in the state rules, and find their equivalent of the student practice rule and make sure that you're in line with it, if in fact there is none. I have found one in the New England area.
You have? Mm-hmm. And they accepted our clinic and our CLI, and that translated to CLI post-graduation.
We did, I actually don't think the other state required clinic experience. I think they required what we call a dean's letter. So the two that I've done had a lower threshold than Florida, and so the graduate didn't have a problem. But I haven't looked at all 50. So if there's any chance that you want to practice outside the state, you should talk to bar prep first, and then clinical ed.
And actually, you should go on the bar page of that jurisdiction and read the rules. Because the rules vary from state to state. Some there are gross differences, but sometimes it's a very nuanced difference. Read them yourself and then check your understanding with bar prep.
I know there's some of you that have questions. Go ahead, please.
A couple of things. The website glitches, was one of them that the externships weren't coming up?
Only just a few of them?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's fixed?
Yes.
Great, okay. On the, do any of the clinics or externships, while you're taking them, do any of those hours also count towards pro bono?
Oh, thanks for asking that. So, externships, no. Clinics, yes, kind of. So the kind of part is that, and you just have to bear with me. So this is the policy as it currently stands. This may change. After successful completion of a clinic, only a clinic, and automatically. So once you complete it successfully, I send a list of students that have completed the clinic to the registrar's office. The registrar's office grants you 30 public service hours. The reason I say public service hours is because they're technically not pro bono hours that can be counted toward the Blues Award. So they're 30 hours for public service. They don't count for the Blues Award because they're technically not pro bono because you got credit. However, the important part for you all is 30 hours of public service do count toward your pro bono legal graduation requirement. And as you know, there's only 30 hours. So it fulfills your legal pro bono graduation requirement. Keep in mind, please, that the pro bono policy is that you complete all these hours before your last semester, right? So there's usually a handful of students that are in their last semester of law school, and this is their first clinic. Those people will meet with the associate dean and have the uncomfortable meeting about how they did not complete their pro bono in time. And you will feel like you shouldn't have to have that meeting because you're going to get these 30 credits. But it doesn't matter because the policy is it's got to be done by then. So you really reap the benefits of this policy if you do a clinic the semester going into your 3L year or the first semester of your 3L year. Does that make sense? It doesn't make a whole, you gotta just go with it.
Makes perfect sense.
Okay. Do you have one more or no?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
The post-grad
Yes.
certification,
Yeah.
do you reapply and have to go through that whole process again?
That's a good question. So, and this is important for you guys to know because where you go to work will want you to get this post-grad CLI, but they won't know how for you to get this. And there's no reason, I wouldn't know how either if I didn't work here. So, it's helpful if you can educate them. The alternative is just have them call our office. So it usually goes like this. You interview with a senior attorney, they say, great, we're gonna hire you, and the senior attorney gives your file to the HR person. The HR person says, great, and the attorney says, get him I want them to be post-grad CLA. Great, so the HR person tries to figure out, how do I get you to do post-grad CLA? And they usually tell you, who they just hired, go figure it out. That's not really how it works. So the person, the office that you are going to be working at stands in the place of the school. So everything that I do while you're a student, the hiring agency does while you're a pending employee. All that to say, they have to contact me anyway because we have to give them a dean's letter that certifies you completed the clinic and that you graduated successfully. And that as far as we know, you're thumbs up, character and fitness wise. So our office is happy to have that conversation with your employer, but that's how it works. And usually that happens, right after graduation, so that you can get started right away. Keep in mind, you might not want to work, just because you can be a post-grad CLI doesn't necessarily mean you want to, right? This is when you're studying for bar prep, so you need to take this into account in your life after graduation as well, whether you want to work while you study or not, if you have an option. I saw your hand, was that it?
Yeah, no, I have another question.
Okay.
For the statements of interest for both prosecution clinics, if I'm applying for both,
Yep.
do I need to write two separate statements for each one? Can they be the same thing?
Yeah, so if it's your first and second choice, write two separate ones, they can be very similar.
Okay.
Yeah, and they can be similar if you're just applying for, there's 3 judicial programs, right? So if you're gonna apply to Florida Circuit Court Trial, Florida Circuit Court Appellate, and the second DCA, they can be similar, but there should be something in it that specifically addresses the program. So if it's for the appellate court, I would have appellate in there somewhere, right? So just, you want to communicate that you are intentional about that particular placement, but there's a lot of overlap because you are you and your interest in judicial, and you're not selling yourself. There's no expectation that you're not trying to get hired. It's like, I know, how to do everything that you're going to teach me. You don't need to put that in there. Interest is good, specific interest is good, something about you that interests you in that program, particularly helpful. Spell check it. Really, honestly, the best advice for the statement of interest, grammatically correct, clear, formatted, and spell checked. That's it. Yes.
So we would still bid for the maximum number of credits under Bannerweb in
Yes.
addition to this? You don't factor in that you might try to get one of these?
Right. Bid for a full load in Banner. Full load. At some point, we may be able to get our process done before Banner, but for now, the process is full load in Banner because you can drop ad in Banner with no problem. So full load in Banner, once you're notified that you got into this, the registrar's office will contact you. If you get into an externship and you've already bid for your max load, they'll contact you and say, what do you want to drop? when you get my email, just email the registrar's office and say, I want to drop this class. I was just notified about my externship, I'd like to drop whatever. And you'll be added like that. Is that, yeah, okay. Thank you, yep.
For the externships with preferred locations, if there's locations that you really want to work at way more than other ones, is that something you can talk to the faculty advisor about, or is it kind of your, whatever you get?
So a couple things you can do. The standard answer is their preference. However, I would talk to the professor or email the professor indicating your interest. This week is probably a little bit late to be doing that because they're going to be kind of inundated. So better, probably at this point, is to put it in your statement of interest. Spell out why you want that particular location. Yes?
Is there like a drop period for externships that are not found upon?
Yeah, so technically there's not like a date where we kind of put the hammer down, so to speak. But if you have something else that you're waiting to hear about, like this, I think, if you're applying, if you're competing for that, I think you don't get notified till early December. Inside the database, it asks you if you have other competing obligations for the upcoming semester. Please disclose anything that you're competing for that might be happening. My advice is if you can make a decision, make it now, because there's much more forgiveness if there was something that came up that you had not planned for, and then you have to make a decision, versus you kind of were working a lot of angles and just decided not to decide early on, and now I have to call the Attorney General's office and explain why I don't have a student for them. So be intentional about what you're applying for, disclose potential conflicts that may come up if you haven't been accepted to something else, and then a rule of thumb is, you know, like the week that you're notified that you got a placement, if there's a chance you're not going to be able to take it, our office needs to know about that. Okay? Yes?
Along those same lines, if you're applying for an individualized externship, that you're applying to an outside, I won't know before you guys make your decision, so then what do you do?
So the individual externship, Professor Batt is taking over that from Professor Palmer. So, and the individual externship is basically if you have a placement that you're interested in that is not currently covered by one of our programs, and you may not know that, so please let us know what you're thinking about so we can tell you if it's actually covered by one of our programs. If it's outside one of our programs and you can find an attorney who will supervise you doing legal work, and you've run the placement past Professor Batt to be approved, then you're good. I would still have a conversation if you, you can still bid for alternative programs inside our system. I would disclose that you also applied to the individual externship, or you're looking for something in a particular field. But I think that would be acceptable because you still want to be considered. We should probably have individual conversations about those. So if you're interested in the individual externship, email clinical ed about being interested in the individual externship and what you're actually interested in doing.
Okay.
Yeah. I know you guys gotta go. If you have questions, email clinical ed, come up and see me now. I'll hang out in Weststone or something. And thanks for coming. Take pizza.